The following is a paid program by the Whitley Law Firm. Welcome to Attorneys on Call, the program that gives you free legal information from the Whitley Law Firm. Now, here's your host, Drew Smith.
Well, hey, everybody, and thanks for joining us today for this edition of Attorneys on Call. You know, we've all been there at some point. You were stopped at the stop sign and the lady behind you just failed to stop and she bumps you in the rear end. You got that fender bender on your way to work. Or let's say you're driving to pick up the kids and you go through the intersection, somebody doesn't see the red light and they clip you, and luckily you walk away unhurt. But think about those people that don't walk away unhurt, that they're seriously injured in a car accident. That's why we're here today for this next half hour to talk about what you can do in that situation, and also what you can do if you're seriously hurt on the job and you might have a workers' compensation claim. Thanks again for joining us for this edition of Attorneys on Call. And in studio with us is Bob Whitley and Whitney Butcher from the Whitley Law Firm. Great to see both of you.
It's nice to be here, Bruce.
Bob, you started this law firm many years ago because I know you've told me this before. You needed to be a voice for North Carolina people that needed help in these kinds of situations.
Well, I have been representing seriously injured people for a long time. You know, when I started my practice back in 1974, I did a little bit of everything. And I did divorces and title searches and criminal defense work. And one of the things that I really learned early on, that I enjoyed helping people that had, you know, been hurt. They were out of work. It was something, it was kind of a sense of accomplishment to help them meet the financial results or, you know, detriment that occurs when you're in a car wreck. And you get to know these people too. It's not a one-time meet you at the courthouse and we'll handle that traffic ticket and you don't see them anymore. And I think, you know, when you were talking about the seriously injured people in wrecks, and hopefully, you know, hopefully people listening have not been seriously hurt themselves, but some of them might have been. And if they haven't themselves, I'll bet a member of their family or close friends, so they can kind of relate to the problems you have when you're seriously injured. And Drew, I'm not sure if you haven't been there that you can really appreciate that. I mean, if you can imagine you're out of work, you're having this pile of medical bills that are being incurred. Right. Hopefully you've got insurance, but maybe you don't.
Right.
And you're responsible for your family, if you are, or at least partly responsible. And then on top of all that, you're in physical pain. And you become depressed. I think the law refers to it as mental anguish. So I think that as I've gotten older in my practice and I've represented more and more people, that's what I really relate to. And you hear bad jokes about, you know, it's almost when you watch TV and see all the lawyer ads and wrecks and getting money, sometimes I wonder, is this sending the wrong message? Because this is not an easy thing to go through. And it is certainly not an experience that anybody should want to go through. And maybe that's where I have a little bit of objection with some of the lawyer advertising. It's almost like, you know, get in your wreck and then get your money. It's not that easy. And if you're seriously hurt, if you get an injury that's going to be with you for the rest of your life, there's no amount of money that's going to make that right. You know, that you would say, okay, it's even. I've suffered. I won't ever be able to walk like I should, or I won't be able to walk without a limp, but I got, you know, $100,000. So it will never be right. And so I guess I feel very passionately about the people we represent, and I'm determined to help them, and they've got a lot of things that are working against them.
You know, we see a lot of advertisements on TV and elsewhere, and sometimes it's an 800 number, and this law firm could be in Las Vegas for all we know, right? Why is it so important, though, if you're in that situation, to hire a local attorney?
Well, I think it helps you because you're going to be, it's easier to communicate with someone that's local. We do represent people all across the state ourselves, and we make it a point to go meet them if it's a serious case. We do have offices in Winston-Salem and other places to meet our clients that call us from that area. But more importantly than like being in the same town is having access.
Okay.
I just hear too often Drew, from people we represent or people that are shopping lawyers, that they've had experiences with lawyers, and they call us on the show, and they have a question. And then we find out in the course of the conversation that they are represented by a lawyer. And of course, we encourage them to ask that same question of their lawyer, because the lawyer's going to know more about their case.
Right.
And sadly, too frequently we get a response like, well, Mr. Whitley, I can't get up with my lawyer. I can't, I've left messages. I get to talk to the case manager, but I never get to talk to the lawyer. And that is something we're determined to do. If you hire our law firm, you're going to darn be sure, and you can count on being able to talk to a lawyer whenever you need to.
Whitney, what is that like for you to be part of this family law firm that's representing people that are seriously injured, people that have a lot of different types of those claims, to be a personal, relationship person with that client?
Well, unfortunately, the legal process and having a lawsuit is more often than not a quick process. It can take a couple of years, for example. So that first initial meeting with the client is one of the most important. Somebody asked me the other day, what gives you the passion for what you do? And I think it's taking time to go to someone's house, sit down, spend an hour or two with them and listen to their story. Then that helps drive you along the course of the case, because it can take a while. I handle a lot of our mass tort type cases, and folks will call me after they've seen an 800 ad for a law firm in Arizona, for example.
Sure.
And they'll talk to an intake specialist a million miles away, whereas if you're calling Whitley Law Firm, you're going to talk to one of our attorneys. You're going to have the opportunity to sit down with myself or another attorney and have us help guide you through the process. Not that intake folks and investigators aren't important to the process, but when you hire a law firm, it's important, I think, to have access to your attorney, like Bob said.
I think it's also, we need to point out that that initial call or that first call is free. There's no charge for that, right?
There isn't. And Drew, no matter how many times we say that on the show or we put it in any of our marketing material, usually one of the first questions that a caller asks to our receptionist, how much is this going to cost?
Okay.
And so we want to say it one more time very clearly. It does not cost anything to talk to us, to find out if you first need a lawyer, and then secondly, if you have a claim that's worth pursuing. Again, we get more calls during the course of a day or callers to which we will usually give them advice about how to handle their claim themselves, because they don't need the fender benders you were describing. When you walk away, you really don't need to hire a lawyer.
Okay.
But if you're going to be lying on the ground with a broken leg or a brain injury, and you're going to be carried off by ambulance or helicoptered somewhere to a facility, you probably will need a lawyer. You're going to need more than just advice.
Whitney, you talked just briefly about the mass torts, and coming up at our next segment, we're going to really talk a lot about that, because there's been a lot in the news about this. Just give us a quick 30 seconds right now before we go to the first break about what's coming up.
Well, we're going to be talking about two products. One is a medical device called the Mesh Hernia Mesh, and then the other is a new class of diabetes medications. The most prominent is called Invokana. We're going to talk about those in a little more detail.
Okay. You're watching Attorneys on Call. We're back with that and much more in just a moment. Stay right there.